week 7 of the fantasy football season, and here's a few wide receivers I would drop this week. The first guy is Josh Gordon of the Kansas City Chiefs. I mentioned last week in week 6 Gordon as a drop, but he's still owned in about 30% of fantasy leagues this year. So right now in week 6 he was active, but he didn't see one target in that ball game right here. We saw a lot of Pringle and McCole Hardman, and obviously Tyreek Hill in week 6 for this Kansas City Chiefs team. So right now, Josh Gordon, he probably don't know the playbook 100%. But right now, he's also a guy, I don't know what I'm going to get from him with him being in and out of the league over the last few seasons. So right now, he's not showing anything. He's barely been on the field in week 5 and 6. And right now, in my opinion, he's a drop here as Josh Gordon until he shows something, until he gets going. There's no reason for him to be rostered in fantasy leagues. The next wide receiver is Kenny Golladay of the New York Giants. So the Giants, another lost season once again here for them, falling to 1-5 after a blowout loss to the Los Angeles Rams in week 6 here. So Kenny Golladay, he's been banged up this season, coming into training camp, first with the hamstring injury, and now with the knee injury that he got hurt in week 5 versus the Dallas Cowboys. But Golladay, he pretty much wasn't doing anything for fantasy owners except week 4 at New Orleans, his best game of the season. 6 catches, 116 yards, but now we don't know when he's going to return. It's definitely possible he might return here in week 7 versus the Carolina Panthers. But right here, I just can't trust Kenny Golladay. He's been injured now for the last 2 seasons, pretty much. With the Lions, he only played a few games. And with the Giants already this season, it's always been something with him, either the hip, hamstring, or the knee. And right now, even if he does play, the production just hasn't been there this season for Kenny Golladay. So 10-team leagues or shallower, he's definitely a drop. In the third and final wide receiver I would drop this week's Tyler Boyd of the Cincinnati Bengals. Staying out over there in Cincinnati with Jamar Chase and obviously T. Higgins back in the lineup over the last couple weeks. The few weeks Higgins was out of the lineup, Tyler Boyd was pretty productive in PPR fantasy leagues. But the last 2 weeks now for him, week 5 versus Green Bay, 4 catches, 24 yards. And week 6 at a weak Detroit Lion defense, he just didn't do anything, was Tyler Boyd. 1 catch for 7 yards. So right now, there's no reason to have him in your starting lineup at all. And pretty much there's no reason to have him on your roster. Unless T. Higgins goes down again or something happens to Jamar Chase. Joe Burrow right now, he's just not targeting Boyd. His snaps have gone down. He's more of a veteran over there with the youngsters like Higgins, Chase taking over. And those are the guys making plays. So right here, if you could afford to drop Tyler Boyd, I definitely will. Because right now, he's just not doing anything in the last few weeks. So that's a few wide receivers I would drop here heading into week 7 of the fantasy football season.